No local government can declare enhanced community quarantine over their entire jurisdiction without concurrence of the IATF against COVID-19, says Malacanang. The Philippine National Police considers to use taser guns on violent ECQ violators. Work and religious gatherings still prohibited in areas under general community quarantine, says Malacanang. The Philippine National Police sets up a new 120-bed quarantine facility within Camp Crame. California governor orders closure of Orange County beaches after crowds defied coronavirus guidelines. Tokyo allocates 2 robots in a hotel designated to house COVID-19 patients.
Local government units need to coordinate first with the Interagency Task Force against coronavirus disease before imposing changes or modifications in their community quarantine. Rosalie Cos explains why.
Government officials in provinces, highly urbanized cities, and independent component cities do not have authority to impose community quarantine on their own. This was underscored by Presidential Spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque in today's episode of Get It Straight with Daniel Razon.
Wala pong mga lokal na pamahalaan na po pwedeng magdeklara ng ECQ sa kanilang mga teritoryo, sa kabuuan ng kanilang mga teritoryo na wala pong pagpayag ng IATF.
What must be done, he explained, is that LGU officials must first coordinate with the Interagency Task Force against coronavirus disease if they are going to modify, lift, or extend their community quarantines. The palace official added even declaring hard lockdown over a barangay in a highly urbanized city must be coordinated first by the city mayor with the IATF before implementation. Secretary Roque also confirmed that Manila Mayor Isko Moreno Domagoso had coordinated with the IATF first before imposing hard lockdown on certain barangays and districts in his city. Meanwhile, the palace admits some local governments which have been placed under general community quarantine starting today are appealing to the Duterte administration for their concern to contain COVID-19 in their areas. The IATF has yet to decide on the appeals of Zamboanga City and Legazpi City in Albay. Bacolod City, a low-risk area for COVID-19, was the first one to appeal, and the IATF approved its request to extend ECQ over the city until May 15. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board says that public utility vehicle drivers in GCQ areas must first secure permits to operate before plying the roads again. Joan Nano explains why.
Several public utility vehicles in areas under general community quarantine resume partial operations beginning today. However, the LTFRB says that PUV drivers must secure a special permit to operate in LTFRB regional offices in order to ply on roads again. LTFRB Chairman Martin Delgres said in today's episode of Serbisyong Bayanihan, the acquisition of special permit to operate is in accordance with the new guidelines set by the Transportation Department. The good thing is that a PUV driver may claim the permit on the same day he applies for it. Application is done online through the LTFRB's website or official social media accounts. Just a warning to those who will operate without the permit, Attorney Delgras said penalties await such drivers.
Yung special permit kasi, mangyari nito, meron tayong usual na penalty na 5,000. And that will be graduated. That will amount, the maximum of that will be the suspension or cancellation of the franchise.
Meanwhile, several PUV drivers in Metro Manila are worrying over the impact of DOTR's new guidelines. According to the DOTR, GCQ guidelines for PUVs, all jeepneys will not be allowed on roads and the number of passengers will be limited.
Napakahirap para sa amin na hindi na pabiyahin yung mga dating jeep. Kaya sana bigyan ng pagkakataon na makabiyahe kami para malabanan yung gutom ng bawat isa. Kasi hirap na talaga kami.
Disappointed kami sa pangyayari. Kasi kung ipipilit nila yan, pero ang mangyayari, mas mahihirapan naman kami, pag-aralan din nila mabuti, kung paano kikita yung bus transportation company tsaka yung empleyado.
The LTFRB is not considering any fare adjustments despite the passenger restriction. The LTFRB chief also clarifies that the DOTR is looking into various efforts to lessen the impact of community quarantines on struggling drivers. These include deferment of loan payments as well as grant of fuel subsidy. However, such measures must be approved by Congress. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippine National Police is considering to use taser guns in enforcing the enhanced community quarantine protocols. Lea Ilagan details why.
The Philippine National Police is considering the use of taser guns on violent ECQ violators. PNP Chief Police General Archie Gamboa explains that policemen might use taser guns instead of firearms.
It's part of the plan of the PNP for, ang tawag namin dito is non-violent, no? Or those equipment na hindi siya other than the firearm. So, lumalabas ito, meron nga yung mga taser and then meron pa yung tinatawag na mechanized na parang iipunin niya yung tao at ito gamit ang makina.
The plan of procuring taser guns comes after an incident at a checkpoint in Quezon City in which Police Master Sergeant Daniel Florendo Jr. shot Winston Ragos after they were lambasted by the said retired soldier. Another incident is the unsuccessful arrest of Spanish national Javier Para Salvador in Dasmariñas Village, Makati City, because of his resistance when Police Senior Master Sergeant Roland Von Madrona was telling Salvador's house help to wear a face mask while she was watering their plants outdoors. The PNP chief details the Directorate for Logistics is studying the purchase of taser guns.
All of these things are being evaluated by the Directorate for Logistics under the Procurement Management Committee, who deliberates on what to procure.
Lea Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, Marikina City takes pride of opening its COVID-19 testing center officially today. Testing for the city's marginalized sector is free. Asher Kadapan Jr. tells us why.
After weeks of waiting, the Marikina City COVID-19 testing facility finally opened officially today. The city government has been granted accreditation by the Department of Health yesterday. The swabbing operation immediately commenced for the 600 to 800 COVID-19 suspect cases the city has recorded. Frontliners and other individuals will also be tested as 8,000 test kits are readily available in the testing center. 2,000 more test kits are expected to arrive. Results of the test will be available within just 24 hours. Individuals who will yield positive for COVID-19 will immediately be isolated in the city's quarantine facilities. According to Mayor Marcelino Teodoro, Marikina City takes pride as the first local government unit in the country to have a molecular diagnostic laboratory. The Marikina City Chief Executive has also started sharing the template and the establishment of the COVID-19 testing center to other LGUs.
Ito ho'y binigay ko sa kanila. Lahat ho, kumpleto yung template na ito. Pati ho yung lessons, pati ho yung learnings, yung mga natutunan po natin. Kung paano ina-apply at paano ginagawa, kung anong equipment, yung state of the art o yung latest technology, pati ho ay sinishare ho natin ito sa kanila po.
Mayor Teodoro emphasized that testing is free for the marginalized Filipinos who cannot afford to be checked by private testing centers. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippines Health Department clarifies no one is exempt from COVID-19, whether rich or poor. Aiko Miguel explains why.
No sector of society has better immunity to the coronavirus disease. According to the Department of Health, though most of the first batch of confirmed COVID-19 cases belong to the middle and high-income classes, this does not mean that the low-income class sector has better immunity.
Hindi tayo dapat makampante na hindi ito nangyayari sa ating mga lower income class. Atin pong pinag-iibayuhan ngayon na makapagbuo ng sapat na paghahanda.
Several cases from the middle and high-income classes had exposure to COVID-19 positives after attending conventions and meetings. The World Health Organization even states that nobody has an immunity passport or is exempt from getting infected.
Walang mga immunity certificates kasi wala namang ebidensya pa na nakakapagsabi ngayon na merong mga sectors nga na may immunity.
According to the DOH, even COVID-19 survivors have the possibility to get infected again if they don't observe the minimal health measures. Even toddlers are not exempted. As a proof, a 9-day-old baby tested positive for COVID-19 in Cebu City, while a 16-day-old infant in Quezon City has recovered from the disease. Based on the demographics of COVID-19 cases in the Philippines, all age groups are vulnerable to the disease, whether rich or poor. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And now let's take a peek at the updated tally of coronavirus cases around the world. More than 60,000 confirmed cases were added today from yesterday's global count. The COVID-19 pandemic has now reached a total of over 3,270,000 confirmed cases in 187 countries and regions. The fast-spreading disease has claimed more than 233,000 lives, while more than 1 million patients from countries hit by the pandemic have restored their health. The United States of America recorded COVID-19 cases increased by about 30,000 from yesterday. The U.S. tally now stands at 1,070,032 persons, though more than 153,000 of those cases are recoveries already. Spain, Italy, the United Kingdom, France, and Germany are the top 5 European countries worst hit by the new coronavirus. Turkey, with over 120,000 confirmed cases, remains to be the country outside the USA and Europe with the most number of COVID-19 positives. Russia, Iran, Brazil, China, Canada also remains in the top 12 countries hit by the impact of the novel coronavirus pandemic. Meanwhile, the Philippines Health Department reported 284 new cases today, bringing the total in the country to 8,722. The country mourns the death of 11 more patients. While we also rejoice and root for the recovery and further recuperation of 41 more cases, that through the help of our gallant medical frontliners, the country now has a total of 1,084 recoveries. Work and religious gatherings remain prohibited in general community quarantine areas. Rosalie Cost explains the reason why.
Despite some relaxed restrictions, the Interagency Task Force Against Coronavirus Disease remains to prohibit the conduct of religious and work gatherings in areas under general community quarantine beginning today. This after numerous complaints from several local governments.
Pinakinggan po ng IATF ang tawag ng mga lokal na opisyales at pinagbabawal po muli ang mga work gatherings at mga religious activities sa areas covered by GCQ.
The palace official adds that this recent decision had been consulted with the religious sector.
Lahat halos po nakonsulta na at sang-ayon naman po sila na kinakailangan pangalagaan muna ang kalusugan ng mga nananampalataya. So sang-ayon po sila na wag munang ituloy ang mga religious meeting habang tayo po ay merong GCQ.
The presidential spokesperson also points out that local authorities cannot simply enter into churches, mosques, and other places of worship once gatherings are allowed again to ensure physical distancing is enforced. Rosalie Coz, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, about 3.62 billion pesos cash assistance under the Social Amelioration Program, or SAP, has already been dispersed by the local government units in Metro Manila as of April 29. According to the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, almost 500,000 low-income families in the National Capital Region have received cash aid. This number is just a third of the more than 1.7 million target SAP beneficiaries in the NCR. Of the 17 local government units in the National Capital Region, Caloocan has the highest SAP payout, amounting to 1.18 billion pesos for more than 150,000 beneficiaries. While San Juan City has the lowest payout, amounting to almost 12 million pesos for about 1,600 families. Through the ECOMOR 2 project of France, the Research Institute for Tropical Medicine, or RITM, in Muntinlupa City will receive financial aid worth 2 million euros, or more than 109 million pesos in grant to support its efforts to beat COVID-19. This was announced on the French Embassy in Manila's official social media page. RITM is the Philippines' primary COVID-19 reference laboratory. RITM is one of the 7 chosen laboratories in Southeast Asia, which also include COVID-19 reference laboratories in Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam.
The Philippine National Police Leadership, aside from deploying police frontliners to enforce the government's community quarantine protocols, also looks after the welfare of police personnel, especially those who contract the coronavirus disease. Another quarantine facility has been set up within the police national headquarters. The Ilagan tells us why.
As the number of police frontliners who test positive for coronavirus increases daily, the Philippine National Police has set up a 120-bed facility in its Transformation Oval in Camp Crame to be used as emergency quarantine facility for PNP frontliners.
These quarantine facilities here in Camp Crame are designed to complement the capacity of hospitals and medical institutions.
The rooms are fully air-conditioned. There is a nurse station, shower rooms, comfort rooms, and hand wash areas. The PNP chief also sends out word that their RT-PCR testing laboratory in the national headquarters is ready, while 4 PNP Health Service staff members are undergoing training for the operation of this laboratory. PNP Chief Gamboa adds they also plan to put up their own COVID-19 testing center to be placed at the DNA laboratory in Camp Crame.
We are open to all possible means to mitigate the continued increase of COVID cases among our law enforcers, who are the country's last line of defense in maintaining order amidst our fight against contagion.
As of today, 96 police frontliners tested positive for COVID-19. 3 of them have died. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
In general quarantine areas, malls and shopping centers will be allowed to open, but with limited operations. There will also be age restrictions for mall goers. Arlene Delgado tells us why.
Malls and shopping centers will be allowed to open, but under limited operations in areas to be placed under GCQs. These include essential stores such as supermarkets, hardware stores, clothing and accessory shops, and other non-leisure stores. Restaurants will also be opened, but only for takeout and delivery services. On the other hand, leisure establishments and services will remain closed, such as amusement, gaming and fitness establishments, as well as children and tourism industries. Minimum health standards must also be observed, such as social distancing, wearing a face mask, mandatory temperature check, and use of alcohol and sanitizers. Persons aged 21 and below and those 60 and above will not be allowed to enter malls, except when obtaining essential goods and services and for work located in the establishment. The stores and services allowed to operate in malls may only be open at a capacity identified for the respective category category industries. Industries that are allowed to open with full operational capacity are those in the agriculture industry, food manufacturing and food supply chain businesses, health-related establishments, logistics sector, information technology and telecommunications companies, and the media. Meanwhile, Category 2 industries including mining and manufacturing, electronic commerce, repair and maintenance, and housing services will be allowed anywhere between 50% up to full operational capacity without prejudice to work from home and other alternative working engagements. While those in the business process outsourcing or BPO sector, financial services, technical and other non-leisure services will be allowed at a maximum 50% work on-site arrangement. Supermarkets, wet markets, pharmacies, and other retail establishments selling essential goods are encouraged to extend their store operations up to 12 hours. Hotels and similar establishments will not be allowed to operate, except to those accommodating guests who have existing booking accommodations for foreigners as of May 1, 2020 in areas outside Luzon. Guests who have existing long-term bookings, distressed OFWs and stranded Filipino or foreign nationals, repatriated OFWs, and non-OFWs who may be required to undergo mandatory facility-based quarantine, and healthcare workers and other employees from exempted establishments. Jorlene Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
An employers group is preparing for business opening soon when coronavirus restrictions further eases. Ray Pelayo tells us why.
The Employers Confederation of the Philippines, or ECOP, is gearing up for the resumption of businesses, especially in Metro Manila, in the advent of the new normal. ECOP President Sergio Ortiz Luis Jr. says they have members who are looking for larger spaces in order to comply with the new safety and health standards, specifically the social or physical distancing protocol. With the new policy, they are expecting to spend more on operational expenses.
I think marami doon sa mga maliliit na kumpanya natin, kung magbubukas man, siguro abuti ng mga 6 na buwan at least para makapag 100% na makabalik sa trabaho.
The group is also taking into consideration employing work-from-home arrangements. ECOP admits, however, that such work from home, will not be applicable to all sectors such as in hotel and restaurant services. Ortiz Luis also notes that internet connection in the Philippines is not as efficient and stable as in other countries. The ECOP president adds that some employers manage to pay their employees even amid the ECQ. On the other hand, small-scale businesses only depend on government aid to pay their workers. Meanwhile, employers may opt to defer the Labor Day holiday pay for their employees until their companies recover based on the Department of Labor and Employment's guidelines. But labor group Associated Labor Union Trade Union Congress of the Philippines, or ALOTUCP, argues that such changes in labor policies may result in payment cuts and removal of privileges of workers.
So kung luluwag, baka lumiit yung sweldo, baka mabawasan yung pinabayad sa SSS, mag-iipgat PhilHealth, at magbabawas ng expenses sa paggamit ng mga personal protective equipment ng kanilang mga gagawa.
The labor group, meanwhile, advises workers to stay at home and keep protected from coronavirus disease while changes are being made in the labor sector. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Some parts of Butuan City remain under enhanced community quarantine, although it has transitioned to GCQ. Meanwhile, in Masbate province, roll-on, roll-off vessels may transport passengers again, but in Naga City, buses are still not allowed back on the roads. Alan Manansala tells us why.
Butuan City is among the areas under general community quarantine beginning today, May 1. However, 50 of 86 barangays will remain under enhanced community quarantine. This is the decision of Mayor Ronnie Vicente Lagnada while he awaits the results of the Butuan City government's appeal to the IATF versus COVID-19 to extend the ECQ in the entire city. With this measure, health authorities could continue to find the contacts of 3 positive COVID-19 cases in the city. The city government have yet to release the local guidelines for the ECQ. Quarantine passes must still be used. Barangay control points will remain in place. In Masbate, the provincial IATF has allowed the operations of sea vessels going to neighboring islands. Under general community quarantine, roll-on, roll-off vessels and motorized bangkas are allowed to transport passengers to their destinations. However, passengers must wear face masks and observe physical distancing. Cargo vessels that transport trucks by sea are also allowed to operate again under GCQ. Based on the guidelines of Executive Order number 16 issued by the provincial government, the crew members of sea vessels, even truck drivers and their helpers, are not allowed to disembark from the sea craft. Meanwhile, in Naga City, public utility buses must remain non-operational. This, although the provincial capital has been placed under general community quarantine by the national government. The city had appealed to the IATF against COVID-19 to extend the ECQ, but it has not been approved. Based on the City Council's meeting yesterday, the GCQ guidelines in Naga include allowing tricycles, pedicabs, taxicals, and e-trikes to operate. But the number of passengers per trip is limited in order to observe the social distancing protocols. As for buses, the LGU is still mulling over permitting their operations. It also awaits guidelines from the Transportation Department. There are 6 confirmed COVID-19 cases in Naga City. 4 are recoveries, 1 died, and 1 continues to receive treatment as of today. Alan Manansala, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Manila City government went to the District 1 of Tondo before the 48-hour hard lockdown in the area begins. Even the UNTV drone flew over the district. Dante Amento tells us why.
The Manila City government visited today the 1st District of Tondo to give relief assistance to residents. This is part of the preparation for the 48-hour hard lockdown in the area on Sunday, May 3 to last until May 5.
Lahat po, wala kami pinipili. Kahit botante, hindi botante, na-lockdown dito sa amin, binibigyan po namin.
Residents are also preparing for their necessities. Tondo District 1 has recorded more than 100 COVID-19 positive cases with 13 deaths. Authorities warned violators of the hard lockdown protocols will face penalties such as imprisonment. 1,287 combined PNP and AFP personnel will be deployed to man checkpoints and to patrol. Meanwhile, UNTV drone was used yet again to bring Mayor Esco Moreno Dumagoso's message for Tondo residents. The first time was in Sampaloc when it was placed in hard lockdown.
And you saw it in Sampaloc. Nakita mo kahit gabi, may hit yung ginawa ng UNTV, yung drone, may hit.
Mas maganda po yun, mas makikita natin yung mga nangyayari para mas malawak yung natatanaw natin kaysa sa straight, mas maganda yung nasa area, mas malawak ang natatanaw natin.
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Manila City's fallen heroes amid the COVID-19 battle will receive endowment benefits from the city government. Arlene Delgado tells us the reason why.
An endowment benefit worth 1 million pesos will be given to the health workers of Manila City who had lost their battle against COVID-19. This was after Manila Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso approved the Bagong Bayani Endowment Benefit Ordinance of 2020. All health workers at the Manila Health Department and city-owned hospitals shall receive the benefit should they pass away due to the disease. This covers those who have died from the declaration of public health emergency in the country on May 8, 2020 and will continue until a vaccine has been developed. Qualified beneficiaries are surviving spouse and children, whether legitimate or illegitimate, surviving parents, nearest descendants and descendants, or surviving siblings, and common law partner who will get 30% of the amount while the remaining 70% will go to the children. Aside from the financial aid, the surviving children of the fallen health worker would also be given a scholarship in the city schools and universities. The qualified beneficiaries must be able to present an authenticated copy of the death certificate stating that the health worker succumbed to COVID-19. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Universities and colleges that can implement flexible learning for the school year 2020-2021 can start their classes in August. That's 3 months from now, according to the Commission on Higher Education. Vincent Arboleda will tell us why.
The Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, is pushing higher education institutions like universities and colleges to shift to flexible learning tools. According to CHED, flexible learning is a way of teaching that uses digital and non-digital technologies. It is a manner of teaching using a mix of online and offline learning where students can bring or view their activities at home. CHED Chairman Popoy De Vera says that higher education institutions that will implement flexible learning can begin their classes by August. CHED will also support universities and colleges in being equipped to implement the flexible learning system through online seminars for teachers and assistance in setting up the system for each school. But the institutions should also conduct assessment on their capacity to implement flexible learning so CHED could help them formulate accordingly.
So pag alam na nila yung connectivity situation, when they redesign their curriculum and design how much offline or online they would do, it will now be anchored on the connectivity reality.
CHED also states that higher education institutions unable to implement flexible learning will not be able to open in August. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Meanwhile, Presidential Spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque confirms that the Interagency Task Force Against Coronavirus Disease has allowed the resumption of partial operations of the Philippine Offshore Gaming Operators, or POGO, industry. According to the palace official, POGOs are under the business process outsourcing sector, which is already allowed to operate both in enhanced community quarantine or general community quarantine areas. Only 30% of the total workforce of POGOs will be allowed to work, but their workers must submit first to COVID-19 testing. The palace has mentioned before that should the Duterte administration allow the resumption of POGO operations, the revenues will be for the government's additional funding for its coronavirus pandemic response.
Ang POGO po talaga ay isang BDO. Pero lilinawin ko po, hindi lahat maaalaw. Unang-una, ang BIR po talaga ang magdedetermine kung sino lang pwede mag-operate dahil kung meron pong pagkakautang by way of buwis sa gobyerno, hindi po pwede mag-operate.
On this first day of extended enhanced community quarantine, 62 land-based Filipino workers from Algeria arrived at NAIA Terminal 1. The OFWs underwent rapid testing at the one-stop shop found at the airport. Afterwards, they were ushered to their 14-day mandatory quarantine facilities. 285 OFWs from Damam, braving the impact of the global pandemic, were welcomed by the DFA today. The third arrival this afternoon was of 52 OFWs of Newcrest Mine from Papua New Guinea. And for the news abroad, here's Kath Dumaraos live from Bangkok, Thailand. Good evening, Kath.
Good evening, William. Local and state beaches in California, USA will have a temporary pause, says Governor Gavin Newsom. Judith Anufuente reports why.
California Governor Gavin Newsom on Thursday ordered beaches in Orange County in the southern part of the state to close. The measure came after Newsom pointed out that beachgoers could accelerate the spread of the coronavirus in California, the most populous U.S. state. Crowding at beaches could delay the state's ability to ease public health restrictions, even as millions of Californians obey the stay-at-home rules imposed beginning March.
So Orange County's been on our list of health concern, and we've done a wonderful job down there. I just think we can tighten that up a little bit. And so we're going to have a temporary pause on the beaches down there, state, local beaches.
Newsom's decision to close the Orange County beaches, announced at his daily coronavirus briefing, stood in contrast to media reports that the governor planned to close all parks and beaches in the state. The reports were based on a memo that supposedly had been sent from the governor's office to local police chiefs, but Newsom said he had not sent nor seen such a document. The California Police Chiefs Association, cited in several of the news reports as a source of the memo, did not immediately respond to requests for comment or clarification. Newsom said it was never his intention to close all of the state's parks and beaches. On Thursday, he said 95 people had died in the past 24 hours in California of COVID-19.
And my job as governor is to keep you safe. And when our health folks tell me they can't promise that if we promote another weekend like we had, then I have to make this adjustment.
Judith Anufuente, UNTV, News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
The United Nations chief laments a problem of leadership in the coronavirus fight faced by almost all countries of the world. Beverly Saison tells us why.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres on Thursday lamented a lack of leadership by world powers in a divided international community in the fight against the coronavirus. He also raised concern about inadequate support for poor countries. Guterres' remarks come after U.S. President Donald Trump reignited his war of words with China. Trump has halted U.S. funding for the WHO, while Washington reviews the agency's handling of the pandemic and accused it of being China-centric, an assertion the organization denies. The United States also did not take part in a WHO initiative last week where world leaders pledged to accelerate work on tests, drugs, and vaccines against COVID-19.
The contribution of China and the United States, both to fight COVID-19, but to all other aspects in the development of international relations, is, in my opinion, absolutely essential. And I hope that it will become possible in the future.
The 15-member UN Security Council has spent more than a month trying to negotiate a resolution that would emphasize the urgent need for enhanced cooperation among all countries in the fight against the coronavirus and calls for a humanitarian truce in conflicts around the world.
There is indeed a problem of leadership, or if you want, a disconnect between leadership and power. We see remarkable examples of leadership, but they are usually not associated with power. And where we see power, we sometimes do not see the necessary leadership. I hope this will be overcome sooner rather than later.
Beverly Saison, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Yemen reports multiple coronavirus infections and deaths linked to the disease for the first time. An official in the southern port of Aden said the number of cases was very likely to increase in the coming days. Yemen reported its first case of COVID-19 in the southern province of Hadramaut on April 10. Yemen has been mired in wire since the Houthi group ousted the internationally recognized government from power in the capital Sana'a, prompting a Saudi-led alliance to intervene in March 2015. The conflict has shattered health and sanitation systems, and authorities lack testing capabilities. As of today, Yemen has recorded 6 COVID-19 confirmed cases, 2 have died, and 1 has recovered. Dominic Sejan Walton spotted a man with a shopping cart piled high with belongings and a sign that says "Homeless, please help" under a Texas highway overpass. She handed him a plastic bag filled with a bologna and cheese sandwich, cookies, and applesauce. Walton knows what it is like to be homeless and hungry. She is currently living mainly in her car, sleeping at her sister's apartment in Houston sometimes. Walton's car became her home after she became depressed following surgery for an ectopic pregnancy. She was recently hired by a nonprofit organization that distributes meals to low-income families. In many U.S. cities, homeless people are spending their nights on empty trains or camping behind closed businesses and under deserted highways. Walton's act of kindness has brought a ray of hope in the lives of the homeless in this American street. And those are the reasons behind the stories in other parts of the globe. Back to you, William.
Reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand. A robot in Tokyo hotel greets visitors, more importantly, COVID-19 patients that were checked in, for sure with words of encouragement. Nina Armilio tells us why.
The Tokyo Metropolitan Government opened today a hotel with robots for coronavirus patients with lighter symptoms that do not need hospital treatment. Here, a robot greets visitors. Tokyo Governor Yoriko Koike, who dropped by the hotel, was welcomed by Pepper at the lobby. Pepper is programmed with positive messages to encourage patients checked in here. That means, let's hope the spread will be contained. Let's bring our hearts together and get through this. There's a cleaning robot with artificial intelligence too. It has the ability to maintain sanitation at the lobby and an area for where food and supplies will be provided. It will also be cleaning risky areas, known as red zones, where staff access is limited. A health management application system is also in place. Through this system, patients will be recording their temperature twice a day through a smartphone. This will reduce the workload for nurses to call patients for temperature monitoring. The number of coronavirus cases in Japan is now over 14,000, with 455 deaths as of today, according to data. Nina Armilio, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Our kasangbahay, we are at a time when the country is under a state of health emergency. The cooperation of all Filipinos is imperative to avoid the deadly virus. We are calling on everyone to be calm.
And most importantly, let us join together in prayer for our country and for the whole world. To survive this crisis, you may join us in our daily UNTV community prayer at these hours as flashed on your screens. And those are the reasons behind the news. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And I'm Angelo Castro III, because we need to know. We will always ask why.